We start with some breaking news tonight. We have just learned the person shot and killed in Reardon earlier today was a high school student. Good evening and thank you for joining us for KREM 2 News 10 at 10, where we give you more news in less time. Not much else is known about the situation in Reardon at this hour. Let's get straight to KREM 2's Kyle Simchuk live at the scene tonight with what we do know. Kyle?
Well, Mark, that student was shot and killed about 2 blocks away from the high school here, but it's important to note that classes were canceled today just because of the weather. But it has been difficult to get information out here tonight from police, but I did speak with the chief around 8:45 tonight, and he said they do believe they know who is responsible and that they plan to make an arrest within minutes of our phone call ending, but we have not received any update from the chief at this point. But we do know that one student was shot and killed, again, about 2 blocks away from this high school. Police taped off several streets, and several agencies are helping Reardon Police tonight, including the Lincoln County Sheriff's Office, State Patrol, and the Department of Fish and Wildlife. Now, late tonight, the Reardon School District sent a statement to parents saying schools will be on a 2-hour delay, counselors will be available, and attendance for all students is optional. Now, stay with KREM 2 as we gather more details in this shooting. But for now, reporting live in Reardon, Kyle Simchuk, KREM 2 News.
All right, Kyle, thank you very much. Well, today, several schools across Idaho, including Lake City High School and Coeur d'Alene, were placed on lockdown after receiving threats. Law enforcement says none of those threats were actually valid, and the calls are part of a nationwide hoax. At around 9:30 this morning, police received a call of a possible active shooter at Lake City High School. Officers searched as that school was in lockdown and found there was actually no threat.
It was, I guess, like a sense of, oh my, this is real, but also at the same time, like, okay, they're here, like, it's gonna be fine.
Reports of these phone calls have come from schools all across Idaho today. Coeur d'Alene police say they believe the threat came from out of the area. Again, we know these threats are part of a nationwide and statewide rash of hoax calls. Colorado, New Mexico, Nevada, Arizona, and California also receiving threats against their schools. 11 schools in Colorado received threats today. Some chose to close for the rest of the day. Officers in Boulder say the call they received this morning was, quote, chilling.
You know, this is the scariest kind of call, a 911 call you can get, especially when you look across the country and you see how many of these shootings are occurring. And so, very scary call.
Investigators across the country are now working to track down the source of all these calls. Drug overdoses, vehicle crashes, and guns, all the top killers of children. But are gun-related deaths now the leading killer of children in our country, like Governor Jay Inslee claimed back in December?
Today, gun violence, and this is shocking to me, is the leading cause of death of our young people.
But is that true, and what does the data show? Well, tomorrow on KREM 2 News at 6, I'll verify that claim. Meantime, in national news tonight, 3 people are dead following a shooting spree in a Florida neighborhood. One of the victims was part of a local news crew. They were at the scene of a homicide investigation that took place earlier this morning. The 3rd victim that died was a 9-year-old girl. She and her mother were also shot at a nearby home.
No one in our community, not a mother, not a 9-year-old, and certainly not news professionals, should become the victim of gun violence in our community.
Police have arrested 19-year-old Keith Melvin Moses, who they say is responsible for all the shootings. They also say he knew the first victim that was shot earlier in the morning. It is unclear why he allegedly targeted the news crew. Caught on video tonight, a massive landslide covering roads in Peru. Fortunately, no injuries or deaths were reported. Take a look at that. But the road has been blocked for several hours, leaving people there stranded. Well, our other big story tonight, of course, the weather. If you've been outside tonight, you know the bitter cold has settled in across the region. Let's get straight to Chief Meteorologist Jeremy Legoo for a first look at the forecast. Jeremy?
Well, Mark, it's one of those ones where you said it. It is cold outside. You step outside and you don't need me to tell you that those wind chills are bitter. We have wind chill advisories now in effect through Friday morning at 10 a.m. Basically, our temperatures are going to continue to fall back down to near 0 tonight. We'll be in the single digits, already there over in Coeur d'Alene, 11 here in Spokane. You factor in the wind and it feels currently like it is 7 degrees below 0 in Spokane. 10 below in Coeur d'Alene, and 5 below down in Pullman, 8 below in Deer Park, and 9 below in Sandpoint. We can go ahead and put all of that in motion, and those temperatures continue to feel like they're well below zero, almost 20 degrees below zero as we head out the door early tomorrow morning for those wind chill values. And the wind chill stays that cold as we head into Friday morning. Not until Friday afternoon do we start to see any reprieve from those sub-zero wind chills. And when that finally happens, well, it's as our temperatures climb and the sun returns. So tomorrow stays blustery and cold. Friday starts to warm up, and by Saturday we're back above freezing.
All right, Jeremy, thank you very much. We'll check back in with you later in the show. Spokane Mayor Nadine Woodward expected to deliver her 2023 State of the City address tomorrow. At last year's address, the mayor announced new public safety initiatives, new mental health resources, and the discussion of the expansion of the downtown homeless shelter. This year's address will take place at the Centennial Ballroom. Registration is closed, but we'll be streaming the address right here on KREM 2 starting at 11:30 tomorrow morning. And now to our night beat with a quick look at today's top stories. Today, Congresswoman Kathy McMorris-Rodgers made a visit to Spokane's Teaching Health Center to check in on our region's future physicians. She asked residents about the strengths of the Teaching Health Center program and what the biggest challenges to healthcare are.
There's a continued need. I heard many of them say we need more doctors, and that is both here in Spokane and throughout Eastern Washington. So the need to get, not only continue to fund this program, but to look at how we can expand residencies is going to be top of mind.
McMorris-Rodgers' visit coincides with the regular review of the graduate medical education program. There are 72 centers nationwide that train future doctors in a hospital setting. In other news this evening, Kim Pleas has announced her intention to run for Spokane City Council president. Pleas ran for Spokane County Commissioner District 1 in 2022, but lost to Chris Jordan. She is now seeking the chance to lead Spokane City Council. She says she is running for this position because the City Council needs to work better with its residents. The 3 people killed in an avalanche near Leavenworth this Sunday have been identified. 54-year-old Sung Cho, 60-year-old Jeannie Les, and 66-year-old Lun Park were hiking with a group of 3 other people when they were caught in an avalanche on Kolchak Peak. The search for their bodies has been suspended due to conditions on the mountain right now. The Chelan County Department of Emergency Management believes the group did not have an avalanche beacon. The other members of the group were rescued. And that was your Night Beat. To learn more about any of these stories, just text us the word night to 509-448-2000 and we'll send them directly to your phone. Now, out of Idaho tonight, the state could bring back firing squads as a method of execution under legislation introduced by a panel of lawmakers today. The state eliminated the option back in 2009, but recently there has been issues obtaining the drugs needed for lethal injection executions. Right now, there are only 4 other states that allow death by firing squad. The Idaho bill still needs a public hearing before the committee will decide whether to send it to the full House for consideration. A pilot program has been proposed to bring mental health specialists into the Kootenai County Jail. The specialists would provide opioid treatment options. The proposed program would be funded by a national opioid settlement. It would start off by using $800,000 a year for about the next decade. Jail officials say they've recently seen an uptick in overdoses, and they hope a program like this would cut down on relapses once inmates are released. And North Idaho College is withdrawing all subpoenas they issued last month to college employees and former trustees. This comes after the school's bond ratings were dropped last week. The subpoenas initially called for all documents, emails, and records related to the hiring of the school's president. The attorney representing some of the people who were subpoenaed said the withdrawal sends a message that none of the requests should have been made in the first place.